Proposal to give us the opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cicero, the Director of Ceremonies for today's session. The Speaker of Parliament, Mr. and the around here, chairpersons of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committees of note here, we have the Portfolio Committee on Primary and Secondary Education, Mr. Honorable Abiwa, and the chairperson of the Finance and Investment and Promotion, the Budget, Finance and Investment Promotion chairperson. We have Honorable Chidua here present. Members of the various portfolio committees that have been mentioned here, and members of the Parliament that are here. I believe if we have the Permanent Secretary staff that are also here for primary and secondary education, and the various ministry officials that are here, public officials present, members of the ZIMTA National Executive, including Secretariat that are here present, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, it suffices to say all protocols observed. As I welcome you all to this important gathering today, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to note from the concept that Zimbabwe recognizes and observes that education is a fundamental human right. This right is clearly outlined in the Zimbabwean Constitution under Section 75. The same right is also enshrined in Article 26 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948 as, in an open court, everyone has the right to education, close quote. The right to quality education for all is also underscored in the international component on economic, social, and cultural rights. This is in the ICESCR of 1966, which observes that the states parties are to use their maximum available resources to progressively achieve human rights, such as the right to education. It is against this venom, honorable members and ladies and gentlemen, that all stakeholders are being called upon today to think deeply and act upon the realization of this right through ensuring that it is observed, availed, accessed, accepted, and adapted in all contexts. It is the state's responsibility, you will agree with me, ladies and gentlemen, to ensure that human rights, such as the right to education, are fulfilled. And to enable the state to deliver on this right effectively, it has become more apparent than ever that the nation needs to increase public financing for education. We expect this to be done through sufficient revenue collection and national budget allocations that are significant. Let me come to funding public education. In the recent past, we have seen budget allocations towards education failing to meet the internationally accepted benchmark of 6% of the gross domestic product, or at least 20% of the national budget. This underfunding of education is also happening against the backdrop that education is one of the highest spending items on the budget, and that between 75% and 95% of the money allocated to education budget goes to paying teachers' salaries, and only a handful remains for other education items. In a low to medium economy such as Zimbabwe, this is probably the norm. But we believe increasing the size, share, sensitivity and scrutiny of the budget will unlock sufficient resources that will enable government to meet its obligation to effectively deliver the right to education. In that light, we need to expand our budget to pay for one-time capital projects such as new schools or buildings and operating costs such as teacher salaries. Teacher salaries cannot be wished away as this is a human capital-intensive industry. Therefore, it will probably always constitute the largest component of public sector. Public education is the surest route to the achievement of sustainable development goal number 4, which, open quote, ensure inclusive, equitable, quality education and long life learning opportunities for all, close quote. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, studies elsewhere have shown that underfunding public education derails progress and it only accelerates the privatization of public good, which further promotes inequalities within society. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to note that investment in education is long-term. Hence, it requires incremental and predictable financial commitments. For instance, according to one background paper to the SDG4 costing model, Global Education Monitoring Report of 2015, to achieve quality and equity, 84% of the education budget should be spent on operating costs, with 75% going towards wages and salaries, and 14% on development projects. Close quote. This is to say, ladies and gentlemen, regional spending, particularly on teacher salaries, is important and must be maintained at high levels, while at the same time allowing space in the budget for capital spending. As we gather here today, representing our various constituencies and interests in education, I want to challenge all of us here today to think critically about the role that education plays in the future of this country. In conclusion, honorable members, and ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I know it might seem like a far-fetched idea, but maybe if we could channel our energies into ensuring that we direct our efforts towards developing the financing of education and to resist advice from international monetary agencies that favors budget cuts or the freezing of public sector wage bills, and instead go into pleading for national debt cancellation and locally increasing efficiency on tax collection. With that, we may be able to double or triple the revenues needed for social services, at the same time increase the much needed funding for public education. Ladies and gentlemen, with these few words, I challenge each one of us to think deeper of all available avenues that we can exploit in an effort to increase funding for public education. Yes, fund education. Let's go public. I thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maposa, for the opening remarks.
Sorry for interruption. I just want to inform us that Honorable Mary is the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Education and Sustainability. She's an individual, but she's here with us. So, Honorable Mary, can you please kindly come forward?
as Honorable Committee comes, how are we doing time? Are we able to see already? I don't expect the stomach. Because it complicates a lot of things. Okay. I'm sorry, but you change me. Can I therefore worship with you and your stomach that we proceed with the deliberations and ensure whatever comes. But before that is done, the chairperson is now certified. Thank you. Mr. President has raised an issue that lack of funding of public education is driving communities and society to privatization of education. Slowly, the country is getting into a narrative where education is becoming a commercial commodity, and therefore the general public may find it difficult to access education. This is important, particularly as we address the budget committee, that let us look at carefully how much we are putting. I know the argument has always been the education takes the biggest grant. But what we have observed in ZIMTA are nominal increases which do not change the situation. So what we are looking for is a real increase in the budget, which transforms the life of education. This is what the discussion around the president's addresses also. We must focus. We are saying this not from an empty base, but we are saying this also edged by the panel that was set up by the United Nations Secretary General, who, after recognizing that governments all over the world will now slide back to private education, set up a commission, a high-level panel, a panel that brought together academics, ministers, former presidents, teachers and students for the whole of 2023, and the panel came up with 59 recommendations. Which recommendations are what we are talking to today throughout the world? And in that discussion, there was an observation that throughout the world, there is now a global shortage of teachers. True to Zimbabwe, I can tell you that Zimbabwe is having a shortage of teachers. Not that we are not producing teachers, but that we are not employing teachers. Because every year, colleges churn out an average of 300 per college teachers, but those teachers have not found jobs. Since 2019, they are all in the streets. They have not found jobs. But the qualified teacher people ratio, qualified teacher people ratio is so stable and stable in our country that we have closed in some classrooms 70 years. We are talking about Levana. Moon and teacher people teacher That is where we are going against the grain of equity. Today, our mantra, which our President, His Excellency, Dr. Ejima, has said to us, leave no one, no president, no one behind. But if we don't address the issue of public education, we are going to leave a lot of people. Without development of equity, we will not do it. thank you, Mr. President, for raising that issue, to conscientize us that this is the true mantra, leave no one and no place behind. And that can be done through sufficient budget propositions that transform life education. So, when I say that shared operation is that we calculated the ZIMTA so that averagely this country must have additional 18,000 teachers. But each year, when we hear the budget announcements, it comes and tells us we have employed 3,000 teachers. And everyone urinates and thinks that is trustworthy. That is just a nominal award of teachers, because those teachers are replacing those who passed on, those who retired, and those who took early retirement, which is what our teachers are doing today. And then we say, because the mass, just remember something the say, I will draw myself to my presentation and start and request that my team here builds on my presentation. While on slide number 1, allow me, other members, to take you to school. I'm a teacher, as a teacher, I'm very proud to take you to school. Anyway, everyone came to teacher. That is all? It is. Please say after me, go public. Go public. Fund education. Fund education. Again? Go public. Fund education. Go public. Fund education. Fund education. Go public. Fund education. Go public. This is my marching order for you when you next debate the budget allocations. Please remind, thank you, Chair Chiwa, please remind parliamentarians that when they do the budget, their war cry will be, let's go public. I know this is also a pressure of privatization of education, but let us go public. Many of us here are products of public education and private education. That's very important. Right. In my presentation, I would like to take you down memory lane just as a reminder of what our situation or context in Zimbabwe has been. Slide number 2. This is just a reminder. I'm not the manufacturer of this. I've only put it together. I've been going through the blue book. Parliamentarians know the blue book, yeah? You know the blue book? I've gone through the blue book for the first half of our years of our independence, 1980 to year 2000. I've also been going through the blue book for the second half of our independence, 2000 to 2024. Last week is only arrived because it has been disaggregated. There are so many factors that lead to that. So I'll link you to this. When we took our country back and got independent, the allocation for education at that time was clear 9.82% of the total budget expenditure. That is what Ian Douglas Smith gave us, or we inherited from. Just that budget. Hence, those of you who grew up by time, you must have seen the expansion of education at that time, and the drive for us to rebuild our education and bring every J and G in our rural schools to come to education. Those of you who remember, who were active at that time, we expanded education at that time, after realizing that education was unfunded. And then years later, we graduated to 12.95 and up there. But one thing that is coming out from that statistic is that we did not change education funding drastically. it will influence in order to meet the agreed declarations for quality public education, which tell us that we should allocate about 20% of the budget, minimum 20% of the budget to public education, or 6% of GDP. Zimbabwe is a signatory to those declarations, and we have not in the first 20 years of our independence. And these years were dramatically good years before the change of our economic speed. These were the best. The closest of realizing that was in 1999 when we saw 80.88% of the budget being allocated to education. When we say education here, we are including primary and secondary up to tertiary education for its own education. And at that time, there was only one ministry for the two, and others were departments. So there we are. This is the context. What we see here is stagnation. And I'm not carrying Yastola. When it fails to move forward, it stops. Is that right? The next thing, the car will go away. It will slide back. Don't move forward. This stagnation spells doom for the years 2000 onwards. Education losses. So realize this can be said. And that is the message of government. And to that means we need to work hard to improve the religions. Graphical, we see that we are in the seesaw. We never go upwards. The trajectory was go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And that is the challenge that we have. What does that tell you? It tells you that we are not approaching education with a principle because we are not sticking with the principle. It shows that we are not creating sustainability because we are not creating a sustainable trajectory of an upward rise of our education system. So challenges are that the education system will go down, go down, go down because of that kind of consistency. So the appeal is, let's make our budget approaches predictable, sustainable, and at the same time, let us make sure that the trajectory is upward. Yes, we can be consistent in the ups and downs. We cannot be consistent in going down, but we want to be consistent in going up. Let's claim that once more. Now, what is the context of this campaign? What are we looking for? The 59 recommendations that have come from the United Nations High-Level Panel can be grouped into 6 thematic areas, and they are talking to. Like in the president's speech was saying, number 1, what is it? Pay, conditions, and job security. That is what we're talking about. Out of the 59, you group some of them, they will fit in that taxonomy. Number 2, professional practice. This talks to professionalization of the teaching profession. Teaching in Zimbabwe, that's why, the teaching profession, RC, Paku, Eka, is not a profession. It is a rest. We are very popular with this. RC teaching. Kune practice, kune theory, kune zvinhu zvinodiwa kuti munhu azvokaticha. Anoenda kuchikoro kudzidzisa vana. Uya amba achisikoroni aenda kukesha mukwanisi aqeqeshe athole ulwazi oluphezulu umntwana ukuze amphathe kahle umntwana ukuthi azizise abantu zokhanaka no-rights nomaphela mu-college yezizwe eba-rights uphiwa izizwe akazama ukuthi azizise abantu bakhe zokhanaka. So this issue is critical, professionalization. So for those in the Ministry of Primary Education, this is the war cry. How to professionalize it? I use this analogy when I talk to general public. When you go to hospital and you are ill, you do have to say, no, you are diabetic. Please, can you lift up the shade, open up your nothing. We want to buy you an injection. How good would it? We want to buy a why? Because the confidence that the person is a professional and he will deliver service. In one way, as a parliamentarian, when you drive through your grammar school and deliver the certificates, what confidence do you have that your child is self-defense and is in professional hands? It's the challenges that best. Professional practice must be enhanced and strengthened so that we are secure and know in our sleep, in our dreams, and in our practice with what a teacher in front of our children. Third, of course, the cross-cutting issue is about gender equity and diversity. Well, diversity. No, we go to Facebook. Diversity is a good thing. I was doing this other places. He writes the sentences. He. What is it to present that is he? I know it's he. I know it's he. But up to now, it's the she, him. You know that? She. So, we're not talking about she is here. I don't think that is where the culture, our education culture is now. We're not taking them. I don't want to close that door because that would be your area of legalization with the advantage time actually. Number 4, we talk to social dialogue and quality dialogue. This is critical. And this dialogue should be also between sectors, sectoral discussions, and also national discussions with all civil service. Number 5, technology in the future of education. There is now a wrong belief that technology will substitute a human being. Nothing can be true. Give children 20 iPads and ask them to teach themselves. You will call a teacher to come. You will call a teacher to come. Yes, we must be careful about technology. We must be careful about education that is technology mediated. What do you take and what will you take? That's critical. Education financing is critical. Pay conditions and job security, like I said, is number 1. So those 6 elements are speaking to us and saying what we need to do. In the next slide, I'm trying to explain in detail what each one of them says. So if you can go to the next slide, we should talk. What do these thematic recommendations mean? The first one, of course, is that you should have fair salaries for teachers that are in line with the profession and skill. A study that we made with the Voucher Association showed us that the best teachers in the world now can be found in countries like Finland, Scotland. In Scotland, teachers earn a salary that's equivalent to an engineer. Teachers earn a salary that's equivalent to a doctor. They are not glorious people that they produce. They are equivalent. Because they produce people who are like them. and that is recognized in most countries. Jamaica is one country that's doing so. Why don't you reach that as well? Let's elevate the status of our teachers. And this is what our war cry is here, it's not association. If we advance the voices of teachers. Number 2, quality initial teacher training and continuous professional development. Structured continuous professional development. Currently, teachers start developing themselves through their incomes. The state is outdated that, but there's a lot of changes. We are changing the curriculum, we are changing the needs of instruction, but that is not being brought to the teachers' work. That's serious. Number 3, of course, the working environment must be good. Number 4, I would like to say again in Japan, keep it in mind, teachers and many means must be at the heart of policy making. Education must be edited when decisions are made. When decisions are made about teachers, we must be there. We must sit at the table. It should not be tokenism. It should not be token. And it should be like yes. That says, you are the master in the field. So we consult you on what to do. And that's the key. You want to do that. 5, the relationship of teachers and their students must be priority. And teachers must have the autonomy of what are they going to teach their children and how they are going to teach their children. This is critical. And lastly, we are urging our government to ensure that freedom of funding for education and sustainable investment. I carefully use the word investment in education because we don't call the education budget expanding. We are investing in our human resources so that we can reduce their products. We are investing so that the country can move forward through its own what? People. Sufficiently. That invested in which might say, those people are. I'm not. We find a way to amazing. Yeah, good. We grew and know the children. We consider the children. Right. This year, the Zimbabwe Teachers Association joined other unions in the world, and our marching order for 2024-2025 is addressing that we should value the voices of teachers. Let's listen to those voices. They are not just as cries. And in so doing, this must be coordinated and institutionalized. Gathering. No, sometimes you can engage someone just to say, okay, we don't need that. We must engage in organized institutional arrangement who says, in March we engage teachers. Just before the budget review, just before the budget review, we engage teachers. So that the teachers can put their voices about education. That's critical. So that's our mission for. Hear our voices. So that we can transform teaching through a contract, a social contract, which sees us working together, not working against each other. Working together, complementing you, complementing us in the classroom as always. I will conclude by getting new ways to go to the budget. 2025 budget is not out, right? It's coming soon. Right? So this is a good time. I know I'll let you back. Where are they going to do this? This is my advice to parliamentarians. Advice number 1. In any area where investment in education is declining or stagnating like ours, and the myriad of shortcuts are popping up, your guiding principle should be a rights-based decision-making for sustainable, predictable, and principled education policy, and that will encourage rights-based decision-making. And where are we getting that from? The Constitution of Zimbabwe, which provides Section 75, that education is a right. It is a right that must be realized and available. So for me to justify why this budget was increased, I will start from the rights-based decision-making and go back to saying this. Our Constitution says, why don't we back to it? Guys, let's check this one. Then the question is asking, where do we get the money? What do we do? That's an obvious question that we should not take it. But then, I say number two, where do we get money? Explore possibilities for facilitating international level the use of private funds, including pension funds for education, through purchase of bonds and other financial instruments. I know when I'm trying to finance budget and so this, they never raise bonds for education, but we can raise bonds for education. Why not? If we are sure of what we're doing, we should get people invest in education through bonds that we don't pay. To me, that's social service is critical because it's investment. So why not go to that church? That is investment abroad. Number three, additional target funding should be introduced for disadvantaged areas, communities, groups, including rural areas in many countries. Being was introduced as a targeted area, but being is becoming universal. Being has become a fine, it's a good one. It's a stepping stone towards free education in the country. But let us deliberately target those areas which are disadvantaged. Ipoko uzumba, atisema ubila, atisema ukipini, atisema. Disadvantaged communities have massive targeted budgets. And lastly, the budget. I want to give a question on international donors. Funding from international and bilateral donors in the private sector, including corporate foundations and philanthropic contributions, must not interfere with the education policy and priorities of the country. They must not interfere with the education system and priorities of the country. I speak this unequivocally. I have, when we had a discussion with them, and welcome the ZIMTA obligation. Sometimes, when they say government is spending, so for it to proper production, it must cut down on spending. What do they refer to? They are referring to social services. And the easiest attack which they go to is education. When the education, then they say, don't employ teachers goes to spend in education. So going to teacher education and spend, you might talk about teacher with God. Instruction care well-paid IMF and in terms of what grants can they give us. Saka, their decision making is interfering with the country's trajectory. And we think that does not give us sufficient education sovereignty. Those not our it is all there. But I think we partner from a position of sovereignty. Saka, change the math. Wow. But we are programs, we are NGOs, we are goal, we marine partners going, I was told to give me the same. The bulk of the money that comes to the country goes to the administration of that organization, not than going into education funding. So I don't want to take your money to share. That's our issue. Because as another avenue, when money comes and we are not sure that it ends up in education. So many people are active in education. And in that space, transformation is limited. Honorable members and members of the National Executive ZIMTA, what is our call for action? As I conclude, I call upon you to help us as Zimbabwe to create a national commission that will bring together teacher unions in government to address critical issues in education and monitor the implementation of the recommendations that we are discussing today from the European level. If United Nations set up a panel for following up the recommendations, why not us form a commission which will keep us? It will be our guideline, it will be our support system to say we are still on course and we're moving forward. Indeed that. We further call upon you to support the amendment of the Public Service Act to provide for collective bargaining in civil service, thereby also calling for sectoral bargaining within the education sector. To MOPS, we urgently call you to promulgate the bill or the bill to Parliament, providing for the establishment of a teaching professions council. In Southern Africa, while we are the leaders in education, we are falling behind these targets. We are nowhere near. Countries that even read our Zamasana report have implemented those solutions better than us. And here I talk of Namibia. They have established a teaching professions council ahead of us. But they took our recommendations exactly from the Zamasana report. And we wrote a very good report. We acted slowly or ignored it as a challenge. And lastly, of course, education is a human right, a public good. They call upon you as authorities to protect education from corporate greed and influences by promulgating amendments to our education acts to protect public education. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening attentively. I hope you have advertised me, and I take you back to my slide number 1. Together, go public,
find education.
Let's go again. Go public,
find education.
Find education,
Go public.
I thank you. I was hoping while I was speaking, you told me tease. I'm not drinking. Some of us are the basics. It's not going to. Where is my mom? He said tea was here. I think I'll take this opportunity to allow me to hear the ancestors. Even with water, it's able to rise and take. Leave just for the next 20 minutes. There should be tea served somewhere. Some can say something here. Is there tea somewhere? Everybody, don't let us liquid. Okay, for now, I'm saying very much accessible for tea, and then after tea, you do this time. Now, much more different. Tea is not ready.
Almost ready, but I'm told that the need for the photograph and container.
Oh, yes, I cannot do photographs so that you don't approach to photo the analysis. I want to say the chairperson of finance was that is where I want to go. After the good photo, parents who are not familiar with geography. Then after this, you give us a call to appreciate this movement.
He has made an indelible impact on our nation's educational framework. It is through this collaborative spirit between educators and policy makers that we continue to achieve remarkable progress for Zimbabwe's learners. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, today we gather at a critical juncture in our nation's educational journey, united by a shared vision of a brighter, more equitable future for every learner in Zimbabwe. Our Constitution, Section 75, firmly established education as an inalienable right. This foundational commitment encompasses state-funded basic education, adult basic education, and a strategic endeavor to make further education accessible to all. Yet the true challenge and opportunity before us lies in transforming these constitutional guarantees into tangible and lifelong changing realities. The framers of our Constitution envision a nation where education empowers individuals and uplifts entire communities. This vision compels us to think beyond mere access and strive for excellence, inclusivity, and equity in our education system. Our policies must be dynamic, addressing both immediate needs and the evolving demands of the modern world. This is why we anchor our work in legislative oversight and policy advocacy to ensure that the constitutional mandate for education is realized in every classroom. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, in light of these constitutional provisions, the Portfolio Committee on Primary and Secondary Education has played a pivotal role in driving forward transformative policies and programs. Our work, supported by strategic and adequate financing, has already yielded significant measurable outcomes. Our nation's educational landscape has been reshaped by transformative policies, strategic financing, and bold initiatives that illustrate the power of well-directed resources. Consider our successful implementation of a competency-based curriculum, a forward-thinking educational model that integrates theoretical knowledge with practical skills. This curriculum fosters heritage awareness, entrepreneurial acumen, and prepares our students for a future where innovation and adaptability are key. It represents a holistic approach that transforms students into active, culturally grounded citizens and skilled contributors to the global economy. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, equally commendable is our achievement in early childhood development ECD. Nearly 98% of primary schools across Zimbabwe now offer ECD classes, and each school provides at least 2 of these classes. This milestone is not just a statistic, it signifies our commitment to laying a strong educational foundation. ECD provides children with a seamless transition into formal education, ensuring they are developmentally prepared for academic success and lifelong learning. Our vision for a cohesive educational journey from early years to higher education is becoming a reality, thanks to strategic and forward-thinking investments. However, the challenge that we have is that of teacher-people ratio. Our classes are overcrowded. And the other thing that faces our schools is the issue of age-appropriate infrastructure, especially when we are talking of our ECT. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, while we celebrate our achievements, we must remain vigilant about the challenges that persist. The public world-class education system is paired with the need for adequate, sustainable, and well-targeted financing. Without this, even the best policies and curriculums can fall short. Education financing is about investing in the future of our nation, and it demands a multi-faceted approach. That is one, sustainable funding models. We must develop mechanisms that ensure long-term financial support for education. This includes forging strategic public-private partnerships, creating dedicated education development funds, and establishing transparent financial management systems that inspire public confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, the biggest challenge that we have in the education sector is funding. The bulk of the money allocated towards education goes to employment costs, leaving very little for all other things. 2, infrastructure development. We need to scale up efforts to expand classroom capacity, modernize learning environments, and integrate digital technology into every aspect of teaching and learning. A digital ready education system is non-negotiable in today's world. Coming to the issue of infrastructure, ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, the infrastructure that we have in our schools is dilapidated. Some of the classroom blocks are very old, and they were built some way back around the 1960s, 1970s. And what is needed right now, we need climate resilient infrastructure. 3, teacher development and support. Teachers are the heart of our education system. Investing in their continuous professional development, improving their welfare, and providing them with the necessary resources are fundamental to achieving educational excellence. An empowered and motivated teaching workforce can transform challenges into opportunities for growth and innovation. We cannot talk of quality education when the teacher is not happy. Teachers need to be happy. Their welfare needs to be looked at. Our portfolio committee on primary and secondary education remains steadfast in its oversight role, ensuring that every dollar invested in education is spent efficiently and equitably. We are committed to rigorous monitoring and evaluation, holding stakeholders accountable, and advocating for policies that respond to the evolving needs of our learners. Education financing is not just about allocation. It is about impact, outcomes, and ensuring that our investments translate into improved quality and access for all students. ZIMTA has been instrumental in advancing the education agenda, and for that, we express our profound gratitude. Your efforts in equipping legislators with crucial insights have made a significant impact. It is clear that we must all work in unison. Legislators, educators, parents, and the private sector. We must address challenges head on, from financial constraints to infrastructure gaps, with the determination and a shared sense of purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, as I conclude, we envision the future. As we envision the future, let us always remember that education stands as the cornerstone of a thriving and equitable society. The resources are channeled into the vital sector are not mere expenditures but transformative investments that yield boundless returns in developing human potential, fostering social unity, and driving sustained economic prosperity. With the courage, collective determination, and an unwavering commitment, let us boldly reaffirm our dedication to advancing education for the benefit of every learner in Zimbabwe, striving together to build a future that uplifts and empowers all. I rest my case. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, honorable members, for listening to my presentation.
Another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable. Yes, very important key point raised there. Sustainable education, financing, infrastructure development, teacher-learner ratios, teacher development support, and remuneration levels. Police advocates and the collaboration between key stakeholders like ourselves. We are so happy to hear that the honorables are very much aware of the challenges we have, and we hope that the advocacy we raise the bar in that dimension. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me at this moment in time to invite Honorable Chidua Clements on finance and investment to come and make his presentation. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Master Solomon. Let me acknowledge the chairpersons of the committees, Honorable Margarisa, Honorable Nede, Honorable members of Parliament who are here, ZIMTA CEO, the ZIMTA President, Makosa, and your two vice and the executive members who are here from the head office and the provinces, parliamentarians, support staff, ladies and gentlemen. We are not going to hear from the speech, but I'll try to make a presentation that is based on the issues that I raised and the issues that we got at the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee when we went out to 2025 budget on objections. And the issues that we're dealing with here are the issues to do with education and financing. So if I may draw your attention a bit to what we stand for as the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Budget and Finance, that as a committee we are responsive to the needs and the aspirations of the people, and for us as a committee we derive our powers from the Standing Order number 20, which is the Parliamentary Standing Order, which gives us power as a committee. And in terms of the oversight, it has to do, I may want again to draw your attention to the responsibilities of Parliament, especially the members of Parliament. That as Parliament, we play a legislative role. I understand when you're making your presentation to say there is need for a legal framework. I think you raised quite a number of areas. We play a legislative role where we derive our powers from the Constitution, section 117, subsection 2, where as Parliament we participate in the passing of bills. Then our oversight role, we play an oversight role over the executive. There are issues that we are raising here. There are issues that are coming from our constituencies. And those issues are supposed to be implemented by the executive. And our duty as Parliament is to ensure that we monitor the activities that are done by the government. And this, again, we are deriving our powers from the Constitution, section 299 and section 119, subsection 2 of the Constitution. And then the representative role, and as the representatives from the various constituencies who represent our people, and you are part of the constituency. And one critical area where we are here, which again is referred to as the power for the best. This is where we're going, the ability to manage and allocate the national best. And I'm sure this is what makes you to come here, because you know that Parliament is going to assist in terms of the allocation of the resources towards the education sector. Then in terms of the legislative role, I'm sure this has been said by Dr. Love. And I may want now to take you to contextualize what we are discussing here to Vision 2030 and the National Development Strategy 1. Vision 2030 recognizes the importance of education and to say the development agenda of Zimbabwe hinges on education. It hinges on the capacity building. If you check NTS1, it has got 14 priority areas, and one such priority area is on human capacity development. And we are saying in order to achieve Vision 2030, in order to achieve NTS1, we need a robust program, a robust funding program that will ensure that we develop the capacity that is necessary for us to reach Vision 2030. But in order for us to reach that, this is where we are looking at the development infrastructure which we have implemented, and also the need for us to marshal the resources that are needed for us to realize that vision. Now, how do we do that? The Parliament, again, is empowered by the Constitution. Section 141 of the Constitution compels Parliament to get the views of the people in coming up with a national budget. Parliament is compelled by the Constitution to get the views of the stakeholders to come up with a national budget. And then the Public Finance Management Act 28 subsection 5 then compels the Minister of Finance to draft a citizen-centric budget taking into account the views of Parliament. But then the views of Parliament are coming from where? From the people. Now, whatever we are supposed to come up with, whatever we are going to debate, is supposed to come from the people. And this is why we are saying your campaign is timely and taking into account what has been said. Dr. Dov says, whenever you come up with reviews for the budget, listen to the education sector. Before you do any budget review, please listen to the education sector. And he also said, don't talk about education without ZIMTA. But what we have done as a committee, when we were doing our budget consultations, we divided the expanded SDG team into 4 teams. In line with the mantra of leaving no one and no pleasant times, we tried to make sure that we reach every corner of Zimbabwe. We were doing under our consultations under the trees. We were doing our consultations on open spaces. It was not an elitist type of consultation. We went out to the people. And we got quite a lot in terms of issues that pertain to your sector. And I'm happy to tell you that what we presented and what we got on the ground, there is literally 99% convergence in terms of the issues that were raised by the people. And these are the issues that we are taking to Lawa. We are going for the budget consultation, the pre-budget, on Wednesday. So, the presentations are starting on Wednesday. The chairperson of the budget committee is going to make a presentation, and the chairperson of primary and secondary education is also going to make a presentation. The chairperson of the higher tertiary education is going to make a presentation. And these are the issues that we are going to bring to the executive to say, when we went out, this is what we got. And I may want to give you a snippet of some of the issues that we got, and then bring them together with the issues that we brought here, and then probably come up with a way forward in terms of what's going to happen. But obviously, in terms of the final way forward, it is going to come from the deliberations that are going to come from the honorable members. What we got when we went out, a low morale in the education sector. Windy, low salaries. They say, the salaries are very low. Unavailability of tools of trade. Dilapidated infrastructure. This is what has been said by the chairperson of primary and secondary education. Unavailability of books, ICT, and science labs, and registered schools. In some districts, a lot of satellite schools that are more than the registered schools. I remember one area where we went, Munezi, where they put more than 103 satellite schools. Low financing in the education sector. High teacher-pupil ratio, delayed due payments. And some said we would want the revival of the educational grants in higher institutions. And this, again, if you check, is in line with the 59 panel recommendations that we mentioned, which you then subdivided into the 6 thematic areas. And if you check, you will see that there is convergence, except the area which you mentioned on diversity. I think the gender diversity was not mentioned, and I think it is agriculture. You mentioned in your presentation that education is a right, and again it is an issue which is provided for in our constitution. You mentioned that right should be availed, and it is the duty and responsibility of the government to deliver on that right. And this is a constitutional provision. And for us, in order to access that right, there is need for significant financial allocations in the education sector. You then mentioned that we need to focus on SDG number 4, which again is part of our Vision 2030, because we domesticated the SDGs. There is a need for us to achieve high quality education, where you say 84% of the budget should be spent on operations, not on salaries. And let's embrace policies that push the agenda of a robust education system. And you then gave us a point to note, to say, as we embrace austerity measures from international financial institutions like IMF and World Bank, we need to take note that they should not affect social spending. And I'm sure this is an issue that has been said by honorable members, to say, as we reform our budget, as we reform expenditure, let it not affect social expenditures. And then you also mentioned issues to do with the increased numbers of teachers to be employed, and where you also say where issues of teachers are discussed, ZIMTA should be there. So these are the issues, and we are now saying, having said those issues, what should be the way forward? What are the commitments of the government? The government has shown commitment. The Dakar Declaration of 2000, where 20% of the national budget should be focused towards education. But what I may want to draw your attention to on the 20% is the government accepted a first commitment to say we should reach 20% by 2021, which means it was not supposed to be an event to say the moment we acceded to the declaration, then the 20% was supposed to kick in. Why I think we may need to understand that, I think there are other issues that we sometimes don't take into account when the government sign for this declaration. Do not want to move on the ground. After the declaration, 15%. Yeah, healthy. Every declaration on the wash is supposed to be 1.5% of GDP, which is around 8.2%. Maputo Declaration on Agriculture, which is the CAADP, the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Program, is 10%. Then there is a declaration on transport, which is 9.6%. And then the declaration on social protection, I think it is 5%. If you look at what I have said, it's covering 5 ministries: health, agriculture, transport, social protection. 5 ministries. If you add, you get around 67.8%. So you can look at this. It's not that the government is not interested in the 20%. But if you look at the declarations where we are asking to, just those 5, they are taking 67.8% of the budget. And we have got 23 ministries. So it means what is left for the other 18 ministries is what? 22.2%. So as we navigate the allocation landmines, I'm sure you can see that in as much as the commitment is there, but we are also navigating a situation where the resource base may not be enough. So these are the issues your honorable members face. That when it comes to your committee, they will say we want our 10%. And they will tell you this is in line with the Maputo Declaration. And the African Union, the comprehensive Africa program, and we want our 10%. Then there's one for WASH, 80 declaration, the government signs 1.5% of GDP. You see, if you check your 6% of GDP, our capacity to raise revenue as a country is 8.3%. 18.3% of GDP. So if you want your 6%, you say 6% over 18.3%, it becomes 32%. Which means if we follow the 6%, 32.2% of the national budget should go towards what? Towards education. So I think these are the issues. As we represent you, we will also take into account that at the end of the day, we need to come up with an optimal balance of how to allocate a resource which is not enough, but it is also continuing to shrink. So these are the issues that I also wanted you to know that your honorable members, they want to represent you well, but these are the issues they need to navigate. They also need to go through these issues. We are aware of the Dakar Declaration, as I said, the Inter Declaration of 6% of GDP, and the commitment that we made, I think it was in Nairobi, only to fight numerical development. So, on the Dakar Declaration, the 20% of the national budget must go towards education, and the Zimbabwe budget for education stands at around 18%. And the target is to reach 20% by 2025. And I want to assure you that from the education side, they have made a commitment to say by 2025 we should reach the 20%. I know last year it dipped a bit from 18, for example, to 16, but the commitment is to make sure that we reach that. And your committees, they are going to support that. And I want to assure you that from Parliament side, the push is now to broaden the tax base. The issue is on making sure that the cake is bigger, so that we may not necessarily rely on percentages. But once the cake is bigger, even if you are going to get 1% of a big cake, you are going to get a significant chunk of the resources that will go towards the funding of education. So, as we move forward, what I would want to assure you is I also used to be a teacher. I was a teacher before. And I used to be a very good mathematics teacher. So I'm one of those. Yes. The chairperson of primary examiners was the headmaster. Yes. Yeah. So we understand the issues, but I think you also need to understand the dilemma that we face as Parliament. We are not going to get the best allocation in terms of the resources that are available. We will get an optimal allocation as we try to balance. If you look at the theme of the 2025 budget, we are saying building resilience for sustained economic transformation. So, as much as we would want to address the declaration, but we also want to address the theme of the budget, resilience and economic transformation. So, for us as committees, we want to make sure that we try and balance all those. But what I want to assure you is we have got the full support of the committee. And the honorable members, when we debate, this is an issue that they've been very vocal about, the 20%. So, as chairperson of the Parliamentary Control Committee, I would want to assure you that the honorable members who are part of the committee, who are here in their heads, we are going to have a common position to say, let's move towards the 20%. The executive has promised us that come 2025, we are going to reach the declaration figure of what? 20%. So, as I conclude, we have been told that we need to say, go public, go fast. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Go public. Fund education. Go public. Thank you very much, Honorable. We are really happy that we are having a conversation with the right people. Oversight role over the executive, representation role with parliamentarians, legislative role, inclusive pre-budget consultations, and fulfilling on the SDG 4. Of course, it touched on low morale of teachers, inadequate salaries, delayed payment, lack of infrastructural development, lack of tools of trade, teacher people ratios, and so on and so on. I think he was a very good student, even before he was a teacher. Ladies and gentlemen, we will have a conversation after the next speaker, who is none other than Honorable Mayor, Chairperson, Portfolio Committee on Ministry of Tertiary Higher Education. Thank you.